3-betting as a bluff. In online poker games, your 3-bet bluff is not a vibe, it is a business decision. You are investing extra chips pre-flop to win the pot now or to land in a post-flop situation where your range can apply pressure efficiently. The mistake I see most players make when multi-tabling is simple. They either 3-bet bluff because they are bored, or they never do it because they are scared of getting 4-bet. Both leaks print for your opponents. Let us build a clear framework for when you should 3-bet as a bluff, and what hands actually perform well as the bluff portion of your 3-bet range. What you are trying to accomplish. A bluff 3-bet works when at least one of these things is true. You generate enough folds pre-flop, you deny equity to hands that would realize too easily, or you create a profitable post-flop dynamic with position and initiative. Think in expected value terms. A 3-bet bluff does not need to get through every time. It needs to win often enough, and when called, it needs to have playable equity and clean lines. First, immediate profit, fold, equity, pre-flop. Second, equity realization. You can see flops and navigate without guessing. Third, range leverage. Your 3-bet range hits boards that villain's continuing range struggles with. The 4 questions that decide your bluff. 3 bets. If you're unsure, run this checklist. Context dictates strategy, and these 4 inputs drive the answer more than your exact 2 cards. 1. Who opened and how often do they fold to 3 bets? Your best 3-bet bluff targets are wide openers who are not thrilled to continue. In many online pools, cutoff and button opens are frequent, and a decent chunk of those ranges cannot defend a 3-bet without overfolding somewhere. If villain opens 45% on the button and only defends 35% versus 3 bets, that gap is your edge. You are punishing an opening range that is too wide for their continuing strategy. First, best targets, loose stealers who hate playing big pots. Second, worst targets, sticky callers and players with high 4-bet frequency. 2. Who is left to act? This is the part most players ignore. Your 3-bet bluff is not only about the opener, it is also about the players behind you. If you are in the cutoff and the button is a squeeze happy regular, flatting becomes dangerous, and 3-betting can become better, even as a bluff, because you remove the button's ability to apply pressure. Conversely, if you are on the button and the blinds are aggressive 4-betters, you need tighter bluff selection because your risk of getting punished increases. 3. Position and stack depth. Can you realize your equity? 3-bet bluffing is easier and higher expected value in position because you control pot size and you realize equity more cleanly. Out of position, your bluffs need to be more selective, more blocker-driven, or more oriented around hands that can continue aggressively on good textures. At 100 big blinds, a lot of the expected value comes from fold equity and clean C-bets. When you get deeper, the value of suited, connected hands goes up because they can make strong hands that win big pots. Relative strength is everything, and deep stacks amplify that. 4. Rake and the stakes environment. Online, rake matters, especially at small and mid-stakes. Rake punishes passivity and thin edges. That makes aggressive preflop strategies more attractive than calling too much, but it does not give you permission to punt into players who never fold. The practical takeaway is this: if you can win the pot preflop at a meaningful frequency, you dodge rake and simplify the hand. If you 3. Bet into a calling station and create a bloated raked pot that you play out of position, you are volunteering for low expected value pain. What hands make the best 3-bet bluffs? Your bluff range should not be random. You want hands that either block strong continues, play well when called, or both. First, suited wheel aces, ace-5 suited to ace-2 suited. They block pocket aces and ace-king and can make nut flushes and strong draws. Second, suited broadways, king-queen suited, king-jack suited, queen-jack suited. These realize well in position and make top pair with decent kickers. Third, suited connectors. 9-8 suited to 6-5 suited in the right lineups, especially deeper. They can win a stack when they hit. Fourth, offsuit blocker hands, like ace-jack offsuit or king-queen offsuit in some formations. Used sparingly, they are more brittle post-flop. Hands that look tempting, but often underperform as bluff 3-bets are dominated offsuit broadways that get flatted a lot and then make second-best pairs. If your hand's future is hope to flop top pair and pray, it is usually not a great bluff candidate. How to structure bluff frequency. You do not need to memorize perfect solver ratios to execute well. You need a simple rule that keeps you from becoming unbalanced. As a baseline, build your 3-bet range with value first, then add bluffs that make sense versus that opener. If you are 3-betting pocket queens and better an ace-king for value in a spot, you can add a handful of ace-5 suited type bluffs and a few suited broadways to keep your range from being face-up. Your bluff frequency should increase when the opener overfolds, when you have position, and when the stacks and lineup let you apply post-flop pressure. It should decrease when villain calls too much, 4-bets a lot, or you are forced to play a big pot out of position. Sizing. Make your bluff look like your value. In online pools, sizing tells. Do not use a tiny 3-bet with bluffs and a big 3-bet with value. You are begging to get played perfectly. First, in position. A common standard is around 3 times the open size. Second, out of position. A common standard is around 4 times the open size. The exact numbers can vary by open size and rake structure, but the principle stays the same. You want one sizing that makes your range hard to read and gives your bluffs enough fold equity to justify the investment. Hand scenario, the squeeze that prints. Game, 100 big blinds, effective, online cash. Under the gun is a thinking regular, MP is a recreational caller. You are in the small blind. Hero. Hand, 8 of spades, 7 of spades. Preflop action. Under the gun opens to 2.5 big blinds. MP calls. You squeeze from the small blind to 12 big blinds. Big blind folds. Under the gun folds, MP calls. This is a high-quality 3-bet bluff squeeze. Under the gun's opening range is strong, but it is also capped by the presence of the cold caller. Many regulars tighten their continue range here because 4-betting into a caller is awkward. MP's call range is wide and vulnerable, and you deny equity to a pile of hands that would love to see a cheap flop. Flop. King of clubs, 5 of hearts, 2 of spades. Flop action, you. C-bet, 7 big blinds into 25 big blinds. MP folds. This is not spray and pray. Your squeeze pre-flop gives you the range advantage on high card flops, and that small C-bet leverages it. You also hold backdoor spades, which gives you additional equity on turns. The pot is big enough that one bet wins meaningful money, and the line avoids the slow, rake-heavy path of calling pre-flop and playing a multi-way pot out of position. Common leaks that kill your 3-bet bluffs. First, bluffing versus players who do not fold. If they call 3-bets with everything, tighten up and punish them with value. Second, 3-betting hands that hate being called. King-Jack offsuit might feel active, but it often realizes poorly. Third, ignoring the cold caller. Squeezes can print, but only when the opener will actually fold and the caller is capped. Fourth, no plan post-flop. If you cannot name your common C-bet textures and turn continues, you are gambling. Key takeaway. Your bluff 3-bets should be chosen, not guessed. Target wide openers who overfold, respect who is left to act, and prefer hands with blockers or strong playability like ace-5 suited and suited connectors. Use one consistent sizing, then follow through with simple, range-based C-bets on textures that favor your 3-bet range. If villain does not fold, stop bluffing and start value printing. Now, let's test your edge. Question 1. What are the 3 main ways a bluff 3-bet can be profitable according to the article? Answer: generating pre-flop folds, denying equity, and creating a profitable post-flop dynamic with position and initiative. Explanation. The article states a bluff 3-bet works when it wins immediately often enough, prevents opponents from realizing equity too easily, or sets up strong post-flop pressure with your range. Question 2. In the article's example, if a player opens 45% on the button and defends 35% versus 3 bets, what does that gap represent? Answer, your edge for 3-bet bluffing, because their opening range is wider than their continuing strategy can support. Explanation, the article frames this mismatch as an opportunity to punish wide opens when the opponent overfolds versus 3 bets. Question 3. How should your bluff 3-bet frequency change when you have position and the opener overfolds? Answer, increase your bluff. 3-bet frequency. Explanation. The article says bluff frequency should go up when opponents overfold and when you have position because you can apply pressure and realize equity more cleanly. Question 4. Which hand categories does the article explicitly recommend as strong candidates for bluff 3 bets? Answer, suited wheel aces, ace-5 suited through ace, 2 suited. Suited broadways, king-queen suited, king-jack suited, queen-jack suited, suited connectors, 9-8 suited through 6-5 suited in the right lineups, and some offsuit blocker hands used sparingly. Explanation. The article emphasizes blockers and post-flop playability as the key traits for the bluff portion of a 3-bet range. Question 5. What sizing principle does the article give for bluff 3 bets, and what are the common in-position and out-of-position sizes it mentions? Answer. Use the same sizing for bluffs and value, commonly around 3 times in position and around 4 times out of position. Explanation. The article warns against sizing, tells, and recommends one consistent sizing so your range is harder to read while keeping enough fold equity. Study hard, play smart. That's it for now. I'll see you in the next lesson.